for both teams, I mean, for Elite 8 at least, they really prioritize on those Baptiste being picked up. And since in 2.7, with so many other heroes that can be a reliable check into Baptiste, just slightly nerfed like that of Black Feather Sky. So now that, Baptiste has got a lot more freeway to just move around the fold, I'm pretty sure that Elite 8 would just pull out this Baptiste just to counter that Cruel. And we did see in yesterday's game as well that, a Baptiste in the early game, if played well, can go decent up against a Cruel that we've been seeing an emergence of.
Yeah, I do agree. Captain Baptiste can do really well against Cruel. He can just stop Cruel engaging on your squishy carry that you need to try and protect. And I think we're probably going to still see Idris, because Infamous just love to play their Idris. Even though he got a slight nerf to his weapon power chakram ratio, it's not massive. I think they're still going to have a lot of emphasis on that Idris. And I think Elite 8 are going to be ready to try and counter that. But as you said, Baptiste is likely to be a first pick, unless, of course, Catherine is left open. We saw Lyra first picked on A side in almost every game. In fact, it was every game except from the last one. Lyra was first picked on A side, so I'd be surprised if anything changes from that. She'll still be such an important captain.
Definitely. I mean, for Lyra itself, Lyra is a very strong captain other than Catherine, but Catherine being that top band priority for a lot of teams out there, Lyra will just be the second pickup. However, we do see some Grays being picked up as well.
Yeah, so we are just going to head straight into the draft for the first game. So excited to see what these teams are going to come up with. And it is Elite 8 ready for the first ban. They're going to take away the Idris, so we're not going to see Infamous playing their signature Idris. It's just going to be taken away straight away. And I'd expect to see a Catherine banned as well.
Yep, definitely. I mean, a Catherine being banned up for the side of Infamous, it's really just an intelligent choice right now. But they are, however, going to ban out that Lyra. And that does make sense, though, because honestly, if we think about it, with that Lyra being banned out, it means that the side of Elite 8 do not have that early game sustain. Elite 8, however, will not pick up that Catherine and will just go for that Grace for that late game that they are pretty much known for.
Yeah, Elite 8 are really comfortable on Grace. They pick her if she's available, and they're not going to be able to play Baptiste because it's just being banned away. Kestrel's interesting from Infamous. We don't tend to see that much Kestrel, but Celeste can be banned. That's just away from Infamous. They love to play Celeste. Kestrel Celeste is a great combo that they've played before, so I think they're probably just going to pick up a captain. Catherine would be a great pick. Works with Kestrel, yeah. And so now that leaves Elite 8 to pick whatever comp they want. They probably might even pick up the Vox, but we're not sure what Elite 8 are going to focus on. They liked Baron previously. They like to ban it, but maybe now that the Baron got the nerf, they're not going to pick him. Maybe we'll see a Ringo, but it's probably most likely to be a Vox from Elite 8.
Yep. That is one thing that we must note as well. The side of Infamous, they have put out this Castro, this weapon Castro, for quite a while now. It's kind of a hit and miss when they do go on this Castro, though, because they really need to push their early game, whereas the side of Elite 8 just counters that very well in terms of their macro plays and how they rotate around the map, because Elite 8 and Infamous, they have got decent, or rather relatively similar play style, in a sense of both of the teams are very, very objective focused. Elite 8 now, they are taking their own sweet time, or rather their time, into deciding what their comp would be. And I must agree with you, although Glaive now is still open, Glaive is a very good pickup going up against a Castro if you put that Glaive in that of jungle. If not, then Samuel as well. We did see though Elite 8 bring out that Roam Samuel just before the playoffs, and they did win with that, or rather I think they lost with that, but their early game composition with that Roam Samuel was just insane, and the impact on the game, in the early game at least, was very, very big.
Yeah, we've seen a Koshka, so that means it looks like they want to go for early game with Koshka, and they're going to get the Baron. We're thinking whether Elite 8 we're going to focus on Baron given the nerfs that he did receive, but they are going to pick it up, so that means they want to get to probably around 16 minutes when Koshka starts to fall off and Baron starts to ramp up. That's when they're going to be in their real power spike. To counter this, they could go for a complete late game comp, maybe go Kestrel and Scarf, and just try and ride off the early game from Koshka, let Koshka fall off, and then be better in the late game. Or they could try early game aggression, maybe push that Kestrel in Crystal in the jungle, maybe go for a duel in lane, try and just push that Baron away. But it would be risky. I think the most likely pick is probably just a Vox, maybe if they want to go Crystal Kestrel, or something like, or they're going to go Ringo. So this could be a lane Ringo, which is most likely. I doubt we're going to see a jungle Crystal Ringo. But do you think they might bring it out Luxurious today?
No, I don't think it'll be a Crystal Ringo. We've seen Elite 8, or rather the side of Infamous, bring up this comp before. You're on that Ringo, just matching Baron's damage stat for stat, and he could just stay there. And I think I was casting alongside you, and we did see that weapon Ringo just trash that of Baron ultimately, and he just stood there, he just shot down Baron, he could tank up 1-2 shots from Baron, and then afterwards just return the damage in like 3 folds, 4 folds time. So honestly, the comp coming up from the side of Infamous, I must say they just look a bit stronger because they have very good scaling from the early game into that of late game. Of course, with that Ringo, with that Castro, both very late game heroes, but Ringo just does a little better in that of the mid game. And of course, we cannot quite forget that Catherine just counters that of Grace so very well.
Yeah, Catherine countering Grace and Baron is really a good pick for Infamous. I think they're going to be quite happy with their comp. Obviously, Vision is going to be vital in this game. There were some changes to how Vision works with stealth heroes. So now, if Kestrel walks past a scout trap, she doesn't know it's there. Her name doesn't become visible. And if Kestrel walks into a bush where you're in and she's invisible, your name doesn't become visible either. So there's been some really interesting changes. And that means that Vision is now far, far more important for both sides, because Kestrel can't just find out where Vision is by walking next to it. And she doesn't know if she's visible or not. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see if Infamous are able to play around that. Catherine obviously going to build a contraption very early on to try and support Kestrel, and Grace is likely to do the same. Grace doesn't tend to want to build contraption. Grace normally wants to get Echo and maybe Shatterglass as quick as possible. So that is slightly playing into the hands of Infamous, that Grace has to counter build against the Kestrel, and if they want to build against Ringo, she has to get an Axe as well, further pushing back the Echo. But thank you for that analysis, Luxuria. Now we are into the fold for the first game, and joining me to talk about this game, I've got the fantastic I Requested You.
Hello. How you doing? Good to be here.
I'm good, thanks. Are you looking forward to this first game? Who do you think is gonna have the edge early on? Do you think Oscar's going to be able to snowball, or do you think that they're going to be able to stop it with the Kestrel?
I do like what the side of Elite 8 have here. You talked about the early game coming out from Koshka, but as well as having that late game with Baron, of course, up in the lane, who's actually taking a fair bit of early aggression from the side of Infamous there. Game pushed right back, and it looks like it could even go close to a first blood, but he does have one more potion in his pocket. Meanwhile, we actually go to the jungle of Infamous and see Anime Save Me trying to fight it out with Spaghetti. And just like that, the first 2 kills of the game going over to the side of Infamous. So I was talking about, this Koshka having an early game. And we see it now as Koshka diving up into lane onto SNK. But Infamous doing a great job to pick up the first 2 kills there and show their early aggression. So if Infamous continue to play this well, and we know Infamous, they are the top team in SEA for a reason, and they're very comfortable playing as an aggressive team, and they know how to work around it. They know their boundaries on their heroes, as well as just being within their own restrictions as a player and their own skill. So it's a very good team, but of course Elite 8 also making their way up to today's matches have proven themselves as well. I think it is fairly decent drops from both teams, and when you ask me which one I think is going to win, I was bringing up the balanced kind of team comp of the early to late game that Elite 8 has. But when we talk about in terms of how these teams are going to play, I might have to go with Infamous on this one.
Yeah, I think Infamous, the fact that they just got the first 2 kills up against the Koshka is obviously extremely good, because we know Koshka has a strong early game, because he hasn't got a very strong level 1. With only having your Twirly Death and not Pouncey Fun available, Koshka really can't be an early game menace, can't put that much pressure on. So that means that Anime Save Me had to try and be a lone aggressor against Spaghetti. Spaghetti was extremely low, but got the healing tree, which was enough to give him a little bit of health, a little bit of regen. And then when Anime Save Me tried to 1v1, Kestra's went, okay, I'm not going to try and run from you. You're Grace, you'll catch up. I'm just going to turn and fight. And so he just unleashed 4 glimmer shots. Anime Sabi was so low that Spaghetti could just wait for the reload on those arrows and easily pick up the kill. And obviously in lane 2v1, it was a smart decision from Infamous. They knew Koshka was going to have to take her backs together, so he had to take her backs alone, and Grace is likely to invade. So they really rotated extremely smartly against someone like Grace. And yeah, picking up the first kill against Sun Jaegers was absolutely massive. Unfortunately, they did go on to SNK, but that'll help him get a quick bounce in.
Yep, and we'll just have to see how they play as a team as well. I think is going to be real important because, of course, Grace and Koshka have a lot of synergy there when it comes to diving in. And once Koshka hits that level 6 as well, you've got that hard CC on the Catnip Frenzy that's going to shut down certain people. And, of course, having the knock-up to follow through with that just provides a real easy opportunity for Grace to get in there, land that knock-up as well. So you can chain the CC together, hopefully. We already see that Official Hind hitting that level 5 is getting towards there now, but so is Spaghetti as they make their way up to lane, just pushing Elite 8 back a bit. We see the Merciless Pursuit landing onto Han Jaegers, a lot of damage going down. Holy Nova to try get them off, and it's just going to be Official Hind jumping in there in the front line as well, kind of just scaring Ringo off at the moment. And I think it will be a bit of a dangerous game for Baron to start with, but we know just how strong Baron can get into the late game. So as long as Elite 8 don't get too far behind within, say, the first 10-15 minutes, then I think they should be fine for this late game to put up a decent fight.
Yeah, they definitely have a chance, but the problem with Elite 8's late game comp is obviously Koshka will just be a stun machine at the end of the game. She won't really be dealing significant damage, and Spaghetti and Uni will both be dealing a lot of damage. So that is one thing that Infamous have in their favour. Obviously now with Official Hind at level 6, no blocks on Uni or Spaghetti. This is a really good time for Official Hind to get a gank, get an easy kill pretty much. Because with the basic attack from Baron, a Yummy Cat Frenzy and a double shot, whoever you're focusing is pretty much going to go down immediately. But one thing with that previous fight was that Hunjaegers hadn't shocked and Uni had. Hunjaegers only had 2 weapon blades, Ringo had Heavy Steel and 6 Sins, so that's why Infamous came out far ahead in that fight. And now Koshka needs to go a bit aggressive, and looks like she's probably going to rotate up to lane now she has that aftershock. But
yeah, right now Uni going back to base, luckily, so even though the whole team of Elite 8 are up in this lane, there isn't too much they can do unless they spot out Kestrel, who just manages to go through that brush unnoticed, unchecked, and undamaged. And it's going to be Uni rotating back up to lane just in time to clear these minions out. So right now, you're right. Elite 8 haven't really taken full advantage of this early game potential they have with the Koshka. So the longer this game goes on, it will become more like Koshka is just there for the stun and, you know, just frontlining it for the Baron, I suppose, which right now could do with a lot of frontlining as you see the damage coming out from the side of Infamous, especially on that Kestrel, putting those glimmer shots down range. But look at this, both teams just playing it a bit cautious now after those first 2 kills. Not really many big engagements, I would say, but if any team were to try force a fight, I think Elite 8 really should look for one earlier or, you know, sooner rather than later.
Yeah, both teams will feel like late game they have a pretty good chance, obviously with Baron and then with a Crystal Kestrel. You're going to be quite good on both teams, but Elite 8 are probably weaker just because of how much Spaghetti will ramp up. It'll probably be about the same damage as Baron, and then Uni will massively outdamage Koshka. Now Uni's got a block and an infusion pop. It's a good time for Infamous to fight. They can go in.
Yeah, when we see Official Hind going low is going to back out of the fight, and Infamous not really following through on these ones, just showing that they have the damage to the enemy team at this point. I think they're going more for that lane, I guess, aggression and advantage, because you see Kestrel staying up in the lane this whole time and putting a lot of pressure down. They might try to get some of the turret right now. There's Grace going in with the Benediction and following through with the Holy Nova. Official Hind returning to lane on that Koshka, might be able to find a target, but isn't going to jump into there. I think realizes active camo was down and didn't want to get stunned up immediately. But this is dangerous. They're leaving Hunjaegers alone to defend this turret, and Spaghetti just has not backed off. Is still up in this lane, putting the pressure down, and you can see the turret is taking so much damage from it. They're going to get the first turret, and there's the Catnip Frenzy on Spaghetti. They're trying to follow through, but they can't. Uni just kiting back with the damage, and we're going to turn this fight around. There's going to be Anime Saving on the Grace going in with a Holy Nova. Doesn't land, however, and SNK going to chase up onto that Koshka, and it's going to be Spaghetti to pick up that kill. So this is what we were saying, and in the early game speculation of, you know, if Infamous play it as expected from that, you know, first starting point, that I would have to give it to Infamous. And right now we see that they definitely have control of those fights. They can react to the fights and even turn them around in that situation. You saw Koshka jump in, but there's really no backup with her.
Yeah, Koshka tried to do the damage onto Spaghetti. He just barely missed the stun on his active camera, but it's still, they could just burst Koshka down with so much damage. Ringo almost got a breaking point, but has that level 5 infusion just to really help him delete Koshka as quickly as possible. And Crystal just has a massive amount of damage anyway. You don't even need an infusion. He needs to get items as quickly as possible, so doesn't want to really waste money on those infusions. And there's a Hellfire Brew probably going to go, and they're not going to fight. One shot missing, but yeah, Uni using that just to help him clear the waves. That was smart to make sure the turret isn't pushed by Elite 8. Uni on 100 CS, and we're only nearly 9 minutes in, so farming extremely well. And Hunyegas is doing well in most matches, but he seems behind Uni because of how well Uni is farming.
Yeah, I agree with you there, and it's just, look, we see Elite 8 now going in, but just instantly backing off. They don't really have... It's hard to put Baron in a position where he's close enough to do the damage without Infamous just turning around and instantly bursting him down. I think is the problem. They're getting Grace and Koshka can easily get up in that front line. They've got the abilities like the Benediction to get in there, and I believe it's Pouncy Fun for Koshka to jump into that fight. But Baron, unless he jump jets in, but that's a real commitment there, he's not going to be in the fight, which right now we actually see Baron at base. Meanwhile, it's a 2v3 over near Goldmine. They're trying to stop Infamous from taking this one. They don't want to let Infamous get ahead any more than they are, and it's why I talked about earlier that, you know, if somehow Elite 8 can still stay in this game and get Baron to, you know, ramp up a bit, then they might be able to turn it around in Malaya fights if Koshka perhaps tanks up instead of going for damage, because you are right, it will have to be more so focused on being there for the stuns.
Yeah, intervention used by Grace, and yeah, it's just going to back off because the one shot lands onto the Jaegers. It just can't do anything. They're too scared to fight. Baron has got his sub attention, but it's a good power spike for him. They probably should fight quite soon, but they just don't want to. One thing I want to point out is that Infamous are using the Achilles shot from Ringo on Baron to slow him so Kestrel can land a Glimmer shot. And there's Kestrel on Baron.
Oh yeah, it looks like Baron caught out alone in the jungle, and the rest of the team of Infamous gonna follow through with that one, picking up a kill, picking up the Crystal Sentry. And now that they have the man advantage, they could even decide to go for this gold mine, but it looks like two of them going to go back to base. At least SNK fairly low on energy and health in that situation. But from the fights we've seen so far in this match, even though 4 kills gone over to the side of Infamous, Infamous really have just had control of this match. And you can see it slightly in the gold lead, but I think is just the way you look at the flow of how these engagements are going, that Infamous are usually the ones pushing either Elite 8 away or just kind of turning it around in their favor.
Yeah, if Elite 8 try to engage, Infamous can just back off and kill them. Whereas if Infamous engage, Elite 8 back off and just keep running. And then they eventually die because Kestrel has great chase potential, especially with the Catherine to provide those stuns. So I think, yeah, Infamous just know how to rotate as a team. And when the team fight starts, they just have the commanding position where Elite 8 look to be just scared. They don't want to fight. They're not in a position to deal the damage. Uni going to engage, but I think they just want to push this wave and maybe get the second turret.
Well, Baron using those jump jets to block that, but they're going to be down for another 4 seconds as the fight breaks out. There's Iron Cannon on the backline. This could be in favor of Elite 8 as Koshka picks up the kill onto Ringo. Spaghetti's still, however, up, and Koshka turning their attention to them instantly. Going to follow through with the Catnip Frenzy, but gets blocked out by SNK. They're going to dive under the turret, try and get that ace because they need it so desperately, but 2 kills to the side of Elite 8. They're going to take that instead, and I think that's already enough in favor of them. You could see a lot more how fight just worked out for them in terms of the positioning, but Ion Cannon dropping down to the back line, and meanwhile Koshka just jumping into the middle of it from the Ringo and then onto the Kestrel. So good target, I guess, prioritization there, and SNK not going to steal away that gold mine. This is what Elite 8 needed. They got some kills, got some gold, and they might be still in this one to win it.
Yeah, definitely a good fight for Elite 8. I think the problem with that one was that Kestrel Kestrel got an active camera trap down, it stunned up Baron, but in doing so Kestrel used a basic attack, which meant she still had zero arrows left. There were no glimmer shots available for Kestrel when she stunned Baron, so that means Spaghetti was just standing there, unable to deal any damage. And there's a scout trap, but Spaghetti's not going to be caught out. And I think Infamous will still be able to win the next fight as long as they don't get... as long as Spaghetti doesn't just try and fight without any glimmer shots available, and the Iron Cannon did quite a lot of damage, so they're going to go in.
Yep, Official Hein going to go on to that Kestrel to start with, but they need to be careful. Active camo is there. Koshka going to be the first one to fall. Uni finds his way onto that Baron, picking himself up a double kill. Uni left unchecked in that situation was just devastating for the team, because you saw last time they were able to jump onto Uni, and yes, you were correct that Spaghetti wasn't so prepared to help defend Uni in that last situation, but just leaving Uni unchecked overall in that initial engagement just spelled disaster for them, because Uni right now seeing on that breaking point Sorrow Blade, Lucky Strike him, Weapon Blade, I believe, you know, doing a lot of damage right now, especially 168 farm. And right now we see Anime Save Me trying to go in onto that Kestrel. There's the Holy Nova to knock them up. Great job by the Grace. Anime Save Me there. And Official Hein trying to follow through with something. Needs to be careful not to dive onto turret, especially onto this Catherine, because you're just going to get stunned up instantly there. But it looks like Elite 8 looking for something. They've lost 3 of their turrets already. They need 1 in return, but Uni back up here in the lane. Merciless Pursuit landing onto Official Hein. They need to back out from the turret aggro. There's going to be Grace in the middle with using Divine Intervention to keep them alive and tanky enough. And there's the damage coming out from Baron and Koshka all together. They're going to try find the kill onto Ringo. They will get it, but it's going to be a trade out there, and 1 shot, 1 kill going down lane is going to hit Anime Save Me, picking up a kill. Hun Jaeger's now having to run away from this fight. Should have jump jets up soon enough to get away though.
Yeah, Catherine won't be able to secure that kill, a bit low on energy. And we saw SNK actually use Echo on the Merciless Pursuit because he was just so low on energy, couldn't afford to use the Blast Tremor, which I guess wasn't the worst idea a bit earlier on. And Spaghetti used a 1 shot, 1 kill to secure the turret, the tier 3 turret, which obviously is worth it. Even if you die, give your team 300 gold, take away that choke point turret, the most important turret in the game, really. And so, yeah, he did it right next to the scout trap, so even after going invisible, they just knew exactly where he was. I think, yeah, Koshka diving the turret to get Ringo was probably worth it, trading 1 for 1. But yeah, as you said, once Uni gets on top of Baron, Hunyegas just falls so quickly, even with that tier 2 defense. Ringo's going 4 damage items, and there's not much that Hunyegas can do. He was focused entirely on getting Kestrel. When Kestrel went invisible, he didn't know who to focus, and Mingo was like, okay, you're trying to find Kestrel, I'm just going to burst you down. And now they're looking for an engage. Atlas wasn't used by Anime Save Me, so they're going to wait a little bit. Wait for that. That's Grace.
Well, especially with Uni having that breaking point instead of, say, a tension bow like Han Jaeger's, Uni still has the damage there, and it's just going to ramp up the longer you leave Uni alive in a fight, making him that more dangerous. In the situation of Koshka having a broken myth, the problem there is because we talked about before Koshka being very early game orientated, and even if they're going to be able to kind of extend these fights out, I don't think they're going to be the ones coming out on top in that kind of situation unless they're able to get that Ringo out of the picture first.
Yeah, I think Ringo has to be your focus. You could try and get Spaghetti, but he's likely to have traps available if you try and dive him. So I think getting Uni down would make the most sense. And then if you're 2v3, you're in a good position to try and dive Kestrel. Elite 8 looking to try and get a good engage. But the Anime Save Me to dive Uni with the Atlas. It's really hard to block when Grace goes in and Atlas issue immediately. And once they do that, they could be in a good position. But Official Hein, almost dead.
Yeah, we see 1 shot, 1 kill opening through, and there's going to be the Hellfire Brew onto Baron, who goes down instantly, and look at Uni just kiting it out alongside Spaghetti, able to put so much damage down onto that Koshka. Anime Save Me, going to be the last one alive. SNK is going to find them in that jungle, though, and we see Crystal Sentry being the MVP they are, but I don't think it's enough to carry this team. Anime Save Me is tanky, however, might be able to stall out for the ace. Is going to jump through onto Uni, almost lands for Holy Nova, has the Divine Intervention up again. I wonder if they can pull through with the ace. If they can get away from Uni's clutches, then it looks like they will, and SNK also having to back off. And well, I might have to just take back my words of saying that the MVP was not the MVP. This is why Crystal Sentry is MVP. able to help Anime save
the ace.
Stole that out. Yep.
Yeah,
But
single-handedly.
Kraken will go down, but I believe that'd be inevitable. Infamous, obviously, after taking the kills onto Baron and Koshka, we're going to get that either way. And now it's up to the side of Elite 8. They have 2 turrets left. We're 17 minutes 55 in, and this could be the end of it.
It could, yeah. After getting the 2 kills, they just wanted to get the ace to help the minions push, make the Kraken easier to take because they would have been healthier, more energy, but just slightly unable to get it. We've seen SNK not actually echo the Blast Tremor once, he's just echoed the Merciless Pursuit a couple of times and just lock one of those carries in place, which is quite good to see. But one thing we also saw was the Hellfire Brew come out from Mingo, then the Blast Tremor from Catherine, making it impossible to block both. They didn't block the Blast Tremor and got silenced, so the Hellfire Brew would burn them. We're going to see it again probably.
Yeah, Hellfire Brew gonna go onto Han Jaegers initially. There's a Blast Tremor coming out from SNK onto Koshka, forcing them back under their to their base. And there's gonna be the first turret going down. They've got to do something here on the side of Elite 8. They're gonna jump through. I don't know why Koshka went back. There's the divine intervention to keep him alive. Now it's gonna be used on Han Jaegers. Official Elite 8 might be able to turn this one around, but they need to be careful. Kestrel is on the back line there. They're gonna get the Kraken, but someone needs to stop Spaghetti. They jump into the active camo. They're going to get SNK. There goes the Kraken, and SNK still up. Spaghetti falls, but the Crystal falls with it. There's the ace going over to the side of Infamous, finishing it through at 19 minutes and 10 seconds.
I thought Spaghetti was going to be a little bit sneaky and just stay invisible behind the Vayne, wait for the Kraken to die, wait for all of Elite 8 to back off, then try and take the Vayne. That's what I was half expecting there. Well played by Infamous. They had an early game lead against Koshka, and from there it would have been really hard for Elite 8 to turn it around. Even though they got the kill onto Uni, they just couldn't. They couldn't get a kill on Spaghetti afterwards. So yeah, Infamous played it really well. And thank you to iRequestedJewel for that shoutcasting. And to analyse this game, I'm going to be joined by the Luscious Luxuria.
Luscious Luxuria. That I have to give it some thought, but to give more thought, of course, it will be this game that happened between Infamous and Elite 8. Infamous just putting out so much pressure and just showing Elite 8 who is the real boss in Southeast Asia, and that is really just them. And if you think about it, yeah, they have got that early game comp. From the side of Elite 8 at least, they have got a Koshka, and what Koshka's job really is try to snowball as hard so that Baron can move that the late game into that of the mid game, so he can put out damage. But that didn't quite happen. As we saw Infamous on that Castro, or rather Spaghetti on the Castro, picking up 2 very early kills against that of Elite 8. But obviously, at the end of it all, it is just Infamous putting up so much pressure in that of lane that, honestly, Elite 8 couldn't find an answer to, and that is really the problem. So coming into the second game, honestly, Catherine was a big threat in this particular team comp coming up from the side of Infamous. The amount of Merciless Pursuit, and of course, the Blast Tremor and the mass silence that Catherine provided in the game was just insane, and it was over that of what Anime CFME could have provided. Anime CFME has got a sustain, but honestly, in this CC heavy meta, CC over sustain.
Yeah, crowd control is so important at the moment. I think it is probably one of the most important things to think about during your draft. To think, right, if they've got more CC than us, we have to just have way more damage than them, or have the blocks to be able to cope with it. And Catherine actually used Echo on Merciless Pursuit pretty much every time, and it worked out for them. I think last time was probably a better idea, but if you lock someone in place and they try and dive in, that could work just as well. And yeah, I think Spaghetti played the Crystal Kestrel so well. He just landed almost all of those Glimmer shots. Didn't need a Frostburn to land the Glimmer shots, just used straight up Shattered Glass, Broken Myth, block work. And so for the second game, we're going to be heading into the second draft. And it's going to be surprising if Elite 8 decide to ban away the Kestrel, maybe the Catherine, but I don't think they can let Infamous get those comfort picks again.
Yep, definitely Infamous now on the blue side, and of course Elite 8 on that red side that we are seeing on screen right now. Honestly, for the side of Elite 8, I do not want to teach them to draft, but Catherine is really a big deal at this point in time, in 2.7 at least. We do see though, and Idris being banned out for the side of Elite 8.
Yeah, they're going to ban out Idris. I was expecting Infamous to actually pick Idris, but they just don't want to play against it. They don't want to play it clearly themselves, so it's going to be banned away. And I think Catherine would make the most sense as a ban here. You give away the Grace, but then you get Lyra as a trade. I think they should get rid of it because Infamous are good on Catherine. They're actually going to ban the Kestrel instead. So instead of focusing on the Catherine, they think Kestrel was what won Infamous won the previous game. So yeah, it's going to be banned. I'd expect to see Catherine. They're going to go Lyra instead. So Lyra is extremely strong captain, and now Elite 8 likely to either pick Batiste or maybe a Catherine and then ban possibly the other one.
They could just go for that Catherine right now just to not reveal. They are going to settle yet again for that Grace, but I guess at the end of it all, if Infamous is playing for that early game, then Lyra would definitely be more handy as compared to that Grace that we know. Grace's ability, or rather Divine Intervention, can change the course of a late game team fight if you time your Divine Intervention right. But whereas for Lyra, you can mass heal your entire team back up full health no matter the amount of poke coming up from the other team. So coming into this draft, I must say Infamous yet again have got that early game. We do see a Vox being banned out for the side of Elite 8. In order to respond to this, I mean, Infamous can really just ban out that Batiste right now, and they are going to ban out that Batiste.
Yeah, I think Batiste ban makes sense. You don't want to give it over to Elite 8. They love to play Batiste. They're extremely comfortable on that hero. And now, as a pick for Elite 8, they want to give themselves a bit of flexibility. A Glaive could work well. They don't want to give away their comp. Most heroes on the fold work with healers, so you don't really need to worry about having a comp that works with it. And obviously, Batiste would have been the perfect pick for them. But now with that being banned, I would like to see someone like a Glaive. They're going to pick Celeste instead. That gives away that you're going for a mage in the lane or in the jungle. But Taka would obviously work well. Idris Taka isn't an option because Idris has been banned. But maybe I think we're likely to see an assassin, maybe Taka or maybe Koshka to counter this Celeste.
Or honestly, we are going to see Taka. I was about to say the side of Infamous can just opt to go for that Cruel, for that early game, for that late game, or to go up against Celeste, at least in that jungle. But they are going to opt for that Taka, like you said. Taka, very good pickup. So it doesn't quite matter what, Elite 8 is going to go for the last pick. They can go for the tankier hero like that of Glaive, just appeal for that Celeste. It'll make most sense for the side of Elite 8. But Glaive will be taken away by the side of Infamous so that there will be no more pills coming out from the side of Elite 8. Elite 8, however, they can still settle for that Celeste and Cruel team comp that we've been seeing a lot lately. But honestly, looking at how they were drafting so far, not a lot of emphasis on that Cruel.
Celeste Cruel would be a great decision for Elite 8 here. Push that Celeste in lane. I think they wanted a triple CC comp. They wanted the Grace, Celeste, Glaive, but they were unable to get it because obviously Glaive was picked up. And there aren't really any weapon power carries with stuns, except if you want to go dual, I guess. So they're not going to go that. I think Cruel would be the best decision and just push that Celeste in lane, Cruel in jungle. You still get the triple stun. You get a really good early game hero when he gets that tension bow, and he can really peel and stop them diving Celeste in the late game. And I'm not sure what they're going to pick. There's probably a slight delay. They could obviously go Rhyme. You're up against double melee. Don't think it would be the best idea. I think Cruel works well against melees, and that means you're going double TP. It's not the ideal situation for Elite 8. So I think they have a really good opportunity. They could try maybe a weapon bump shot. I think Cruel is the best decision, but they're actually going to pick Rona, being told. So that is trying to counter the sustain from Lyra with mortal wounds, and that's. What do you think of that pick? Rona has obviously not been seen a lot at all. She did get a little buff in 2.7.
But I guess, like you said, and we've kind of talked about the buffs and the nerfs made to heroes off stream, and you said Rona's buff, it's not really game-changing. It was only changes made into the fray. So if you hit into the fray, then of course you can enjoy the buff. But even that is 15% more fortified health. Is that it, or is it 15 more fortified health?
I think it's about 15 to 25 extra fortified health per target.
Yeah, so there you go. So it's not game-changing at all, but at the end of the day, Rona do not provide the peel that Glaive has got, but I guess with her sustain, she can go up against that of Taka, that of Glaive, and be, really difficult to take down. But honestly, with the Rona pickup, I would have preferred to see that Cruel just be so much stronger in their team comp, if not even the Weapon Black Feather work rather well going up against Taka and the Glaive. That is the least expected pick. very niche coming out from the side of Elite 8.
I think the problem with the Rona compared to Cruel is that they're both good against melee. Rona obviously can spin to win, red mist on top of everyone and get a lot of damage and a lot of sustain. But she doesn't have any peel for Celeste, whereas Cruel, if you try and dive Celeste, Cruel is going to do a lot of damage to you and build weakness stats, so you do less damage to Celeste. Whereas Rona will be a bit of a menace, but if you just dodge her red mist, then she's kind of useless. Has to try and jump towards you or foe splitter towards you. And so I think it can work. It can work to counter Lyra's heal quite effectively. But I definitely agree with you. Cruel would have been better, so I have to favour the side of Infamous for this draft.
Definitely, I must agree with you. And I go with you 100% on the desk for the side of Infamous. Rona is just too niche at this point in time. And on top of that as well, Rona is pretty late game as compared to that of Cruel. Let's see if Elite 8 can pull off this Rona when we get into game.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Elite 8 do if they want to try maybe to invade early game with Rona. We know Rona can be extremely strong at level 1, level 2 with the high base damage she has. But then again, once you get to late game, you want to just let Rona build Serpent's Mask, Breaking Point, stack up defense, sustain for as long as possible throughout the fights. Thank you for that analysis, Luxuria. Now we are into the House you Unfold, and I will be joined by I Requested You.
Hello once again, and yes, we are into match 2 between Infamous and Elite 8, and this time, yeah, I must agree with Luxuria there. I'm a bit worried about the Rona pickup. What I do like about it, however, they do have the new skins, the Grace and the Red Rona, going very well together. Hopefully they can pull something through here. I think it's one of these team comps that will work if Elite 8 can hold the aggression. The thing is, they're going up against Infamous, and we know how hard that's going to be for them, just in terms of trying to be that dominant team. But if they have that strong front line, and they're able to push Infamous back, then Official Hein on that Celeste should be able to sit in the backline and land their Heliogenesis. And you could even say, once it comes to late game and Anime Save Me has Divine Intervention, Celeste can be standing anywhere and just focus on hitting the Heliogenesis and core collapses, and then whenever needed can just have that big heal from the Divine Intervention, which we do know had a slight nerf to it, however, but I think it's still fairly useful, and for good reason. You still see Grace being one of the most banned roamers, or usually most picked as well, if not for Lyra's on the side of Infamous. So 2 very good drafts, I'd say, from both teams, but you can see that Infamous are going to, if they're able to just kind of get to that backline with the Glaive on the Afterburn, with Vitaka just going in onto Celeste, they should have an easy job, which we see right now, but it's so close between Official Hein and Uni. And there's going to be Vikaku coming out from Uni. They're just going to go into the backs. They are spotted out by a flare. Good job by Anime Save Me on that Grace to do that. And it looks like Uni will be able to take one, but might go down with his life. Kaku isn't up for another 2 seconds, and there's going to be the first blood bonus. So I'm not sure if that's worth it, taking that one back there, but we'll see as Elite 8 and Infamous go into this second match. And how are you feeling about these 2 team comps? I know you had a bit of a chat with it with Luxuria, but now seeing them in-game, what are you thinking?
Well, I'm certainly liking the legendary bonus skin it does.
yes.
The Glade's going to get up.
Core Collapse is going to go in. There's going to be into the fray. And look at this. Official Hein, if they're able to play like this normally, of course, a 3v2 situation in their favor of Elite 8 for that fight, but if they're able to continue like that and just let Official Hein land those shots in, they do need to be careful if Vitaka though gets spotted out by the Scout Trapper. It looks like they'll be able to pick up a return kill. Anime Save Me doing what they can to save Official Hein right now, and they're going to be able to. Uni just going to rotate into the backs there. Meanwhile, Han Jaeger's going to have a bit of trouble in this lane, has to back out. But we did talk about the sustain that Rona's going to be able to provide. You talked about spin to win. If that's going to be the case. I think their biggest trouble for the side of Elite 8 is just keeping Official Hein on that Celeste alive.
Yeah, Uni going to try and steal some farm. He's going to get caught out there by Celeste, maybe. Looks like he wants to go in. Nope.
Yeah, Core Collapse just missing in that situation. If it had landed, maybe they would have picked up a kill onto Uni, but Infamous now going to do a full rotation into this jungle, taking the Outer Trian, and it looks like if we look in terms of gold lead, it's barely anything. You could say even though Infamous are behind in kills, they've managed to keep up in gold, because when we look over at farm, right now, Uni surprisingly with 23 farm over to the 12 on official Hind. That's a bit worrying.
Yeah, I think but Uni has invaded official Hind an awful lot. Celeste really can't do much against this Stormguard banner on Taka. You can sneak into your jungle, keep taking your farm, but obviously the first blood going over to official Hind, and the second blood actually, just really helps him get the gold, even if he doesn't get it from the jungle, just get gold from kills. And Taka again going to sneak and take away the mid. There was vision in the tri-bush, Taka just popped it immediately. So yeah, official Hind really is going to struggle, because Uni's kept being aggressive, and now he's going to continue on to official Hind. But there's a sentry.
Core collapse will land. There's Anime Save Me with the Holy Nova, manages to get off, but Uni did have the help of SNK with the Imperial Sigil. Was going to be able to find the Kaku to get out there and heal up, and it's just such a pain, and I feel for official Hind right now, because when you're versing, and I used to be a Celeste main back probably around when the this original skin came out, the Bay Witch skin, and yeah, it's just Taka is your worst nightmare, because he's just going to be all over you, and if you can't hit that core collapse, you know, you're in a bit of trouble, and even if you do, he's just going to Kaku, get his health back, he gets the speed boost, and it's a real pain to deal with. So it's going to be up to Anime Save Me for two things. One, for the vision, and then two, just to be there with the benediction to jump in there and try save official Hind, especially the Holy Nova will come into use as well when chaining CC. But we see the side of Infamous diving in onto this turret, getting a fair bit of damage down as well for it, and Hanyeg is not really able to do much in return.
Extremely turret focused play from Infamous. We see this an awful lot from them. They love to just push turrets, try and get objectives, and take away farm if at all possible. Uni going for the Storm Crown first. It makes sense because you're against the Rona, so you want to go Storm Crown Aftershock instead of maybe a Shatterglass first. And obviously it makes him able to steal farm an awful lot easier. So I think that's a smart play from Uni. He's finally going to get some boots, and I'd expect to see him work towards an Aftershock. But maybe he's going to go Shatterglass now. I don't think that would make sense. I think given that he's up against Hunyegas, who's already built health, is going to build more and build quite a lot of defense, the Aftershock will work great. Official Hind just needs to farm up his jungle. There's been some really good vision from Anime Save Me. We see those three scout traps on the fold already. The two of them aren't going to get popped like at all, and Glaive is going to be caught out.
Yep, Hanyeg is trying to dive behind Glaive in that situation to land it into the fray slow behind him, but Spaghetti going to be able to get out of that one with ease. They have the Imperial Sigil there as well to heal them up, and now if as an Elite 8 shoes, they need to be worried about this Taka who's already got that X-Retsu, and it's going to be quite a problem as he's going to easily be able to just jump past any front lining and straight onto official Hind, and we're going to see the fight break out here. There's the core collapse onto Uni. Holy Nova to follow up, and now we see Hunyegas in that front line, but meanwhile Spaghetti jumping onto official Hind. Uni going to do the follow-up and manage to secure the kill, but doesn't look like he'll fall to turret, just barely getting out of there. And meanwhile, this is the problem I said. Like, Spaghetti was the first one to jump in, but while their attention was on Spaghetti and getting him out away from official Hind, you could see Taka moving in for the kill, and Spaghetti going low in that situation manages to afterburn out there. Bright Bulwark going to stop any kind of follow through as well. And once again, we see Uni clearing out the farm of official Hind basically. And
yeah, pretty much
now
taking it all.
43 CS over to 29, really putting official Hind in a bit of trouble here, because you like to put these heroes, these caster mage heroes, in the jungle so they can level up faster, but that's not really going to work when Uni is on that Taka taking all your farm.
Yeah, if you haven't got farm, you're not going to level up at all. As you said, 48 CS on Taka, now to 31 on Celeste. The lane is pretty even. In fact, it's in Glaive's favour. So Infamous really with the farm, advantage and the gold lead. Even though they're behind on kills, they're certainly ahead on gold. And this Rona is getting taken down low.
Yeah, and you can tell that Rona is gonna, even though Rona's able to sustain, that mortal wound is just going to stop that effectiveness even more. And you see Taka going in with X-Retsu. They're gonna pick up the kill onto Rona easily. Spaghetti not even having to use that afterburn to actually stun up anyone, but they have the man advantage moving on to this turret. Imperial Sigil's there to keep them nice and healthy. However, they don't have the minions just of yet, so they're going to wait up for a bit. Uni not going to waste any time. Notices that Celeste is obviously busy trying to hold down that initial turret because they don't want to give it over to the side of Infamous, and instead is going to go down to the jungle here, and it doesn't look like Rona will even be able to catch them out.
Uni again just able to take away the farm somehow, just taking everything from Celeste. Visual Hind is really struggling, has got the Frostburn but hasn't even got either Harvest or Broken Myth yet, and Hunyegas still hasn't got a breaking point, so this is a really good time for Infamous to fight. There's an infusion already used on Taka and one on Spaghetti ready to go. I think once Hunyegas gets a reflex block to try and stop, because at the moment Glaive can just afterburn Hunyegas out of the red mist, and then he'll just be able to, and then Rona won't be able to do anything. He's already used into the fray to get on top of them. Taka's going to go in.
Yeah, and we see Taka jumping right into the middle of that fight. No one is really afraid of Rona at this point because not quite able to get built up, and I believe there's either you or Luxura saying that Rona really needs to get to that late game, get all those items to go in there and be a real threat. But right now we did talk about the difference in the economy between the two teams, with Infamous being ahead at 21.7k up to 19.2 of Elite 8, and that might not seem like much, but is a lot when no objectives have been taken, and that's simply off kills and stealing farm away and just CS advantage.
Yeah, I think Taka's going to try and be sneaky again as the 5th century, but he's probably going to get both. He's going to get both the farm. Will he be able to get away?
MVP shut him down. Do it, because I believe the Crystal Sentry, I'm not sure about this, but I believe the Crystal Sentry shots will be able to follow through. There's the Solar Storm, and they are able to jump down in the 2v1. However, Taka was able to pick up that farm. Glaive able to steal that one away. Official Heim probably just really feeling it right now, seeing a 41 farm, and that's probably with taking some of the lane farm as well. It's just real tough for them, and I think at this point it looks like the side of Infamous, they took that first turret as well, and they're probably going to have that eyes set on Goldmine next, that they're able to push the lane forward enough and then rotate down and have enough control over the jungle. Right now, a good thing in response coming through by Anime Save Me. They haven't given up on the vision. They're being thorough with it, and that's great to see, especially when going up against Ataka that's going to be roaming everywhere.
Yeah, it's very important to see that vision control. And I saw Taka, he chitined over the... Can we call that actually a hold point?
Yep, Uni gonna go jump in, but is actually taking a fair bit of damage in return. There's gonna be the Bright Bulwark to stop the fight going on any longer, and it looks like these two teams might just back out. But the thing is, Uni with such short cooldowns on that Taka and the invisibility ready going through that Kaku is probably looking for engage. There's gonna be Hunyegas jumping in with Anime Save Me, and then the return coming through. Uni going in, but right now you see when the team of Elite 8 are together, there's a lot of CC you need to be cautious of. And right now, Taka just stealing farm whenever they can. They're going to go down there, and there's going to be afterburn onto Official Heim. They're going to get taken out instantly. Bright Bulwark up, and nothing the side of Elite 8 can do right now. Imperial Sigil going to keep them healthy. There's the Holy Nova. It's going to miss, however. SNK on this backline is low, but Spaghetti is not, as he's up in their faces. We didn't even look at Spaghetti's build right now. Actually seeing 2-0-2. He's got that Poison Shift with the Tyrant's Monocle and Sorrow Blade, so just doing so much damage right now. This is what I love about being able to play with Elira, and you know, you play around the fact that you have that healing, you have that sustain there, and you can just go all in, especially when you're a team like Infamous, which we talked about in the first round, just knows their limits, knows how to control it. But right now, Uni needs to be careful, almost getting caught out by the core collapse. Just gonna sneak away, little Tanuki running off into the forest.
Grabs himself an Aegis and an infusion, so he could have just turned around and tried to fight, but Visual Hive was also infused, so he wouldn't have been that far ahead. And I think Elite 8 are just finding out the problems that happen when you have no money, when the enemy just takes all of your farm. Glaive is on 155 CS after this wave, and we're only 30 minutes in, and it's just ridiculous how much how far ahead Infamous are at this point, despite only being about 7k gold ahead, maybe about 7.5k gold ahead. They're just completely dominating over all these team fights. Visual Hein has almost nothing he can do. They're going to go try and engage, try and find out Uni.
Yeah, well, yeah, a bit of aggression between both teams here, a bit of poke as well, and they're going to jump right onto Official Hein, who gets deleted instantly as soon as Spaghetti finds the mark right there. Turret glitching out slightly, but Spaghetti going to be able to get away from that one. Uni going to jump in once again, dodges out the Holy Nova, and Hunjager is going to have to be on the retreat, does manage to block out the Afterburn. It's doing so much damage, able to return the kill onto that glaive, and this is what I mean by Rona can actually be a good pick, and what Luxury was saying is kind of niche, and of course once Rona gets built up, you still need to be afraid of her because she can really go in and do some damage. But I think the problem there is a lot of the items and even the draft coming out from Infamous, as I mentioned before, Mortal Wound on that X-Retsu, as well as the Poison Shiv being picked up by Spaghetti. They're really going to counter that, as well as just being already able to put out so much damage, having their own sustain in their team comp. And Infamous, generally, once they're able to find that kill onto Official Hein, I think they could have got a bit greedy in that situation, diving in once more onto Rona and then just being punished for it.
Yeah, Spaghetti did kind of dive between turrets and just wasn't in the best position, but they still, Taka managed to sneak away, take farm, because that's obviously Uni's win condition this game is just take farm. And they look to go for a fight. Taka's been spotted out, he's going to go in.
Yeah, Uni once again in the front line, this time not able to find anyone. I think it really relies on Spaghetti kind of getting in there initially, because you can see Official Hein starting to build a bit of armor. That light armor really not going to do anything for you in this situation, however, so they do need to be cautious, and it really is down to, I would suggest maybe Official Hein just go straight for an Aegis. It's going to give you a bit of armor anyway, but it'll just help out with generally having the reflex block there. And we see Elite 8 on the chase, trying to stop Infamous, but they're going to be able to get that Crystal Sentry and get out of there. And you were talking about money problems, and we look at it right now, it's almost hitting that 10k mark with 37.1k in the pockets of Infamous, over to 28.8 in the side of Elite 8. And meanwhile, they've taken 2 turrets away from Elite 8, and I'm sure a few gold mines with that end, as we saw before, Crystal Sentry. So it's all adding up here. You know, I was thinking earlier, maybe we need a hero who can, their heroic perk is they can sweet talk the shop owner to get, you know, just a cheaper price.
Just give me a 50% discount on all of the rest of my items, and for the team as well. That might
or just some budget kind of shopping. They go to a little budget shop hidden somewhere in the jungle, but
yeah, they get a cheap Eve of Harvest. It gives you a bit less healing, but it's half the price, so it's fine. Sometimes it doesn't work. Yeah,
sometimes it doesn't work.
And Infamous in a good position, the attacker's going to dive in.
Jumping in onto Celeste, and Celeste's going to have to back out there. You see the more wound doing a lot of damage, but Rona going to try go at it with Spaghetti right in the middle of that fight, staying alive for so long, but it's not going to be enough. Taka now finding their way onto Celeste, who uses the Solar Storm. It's in vain, however. There's the Divine Intervention by Grace as well, trying to save their life, but right now Infamous just too strong, and there's nothing Crystal Sentry can even do about it. There's going to be the ace going over to Infamous as they push onto the anchor turret, and they could even just turn their attention to Kraken right now. There's 10 seconds up before Hunjager's up to defend the base, so looks like that is going to be their plan of attack.
Yeah, that is the 10k gold lead for Infamous, so some call this point of no return. Obviously Celeste is really late game, can try and turn it around, but it's going to be tough. Uni is playing well on this Taka. I think if Infamous get out of position, Elite 8 might be able to get this Kraken and turn it around. They're not going to be able to Solar Storm to steal. They just have to try and pick a fight as early as possible, see what can happen. Maybe if Uni dives in, they get a stun, they get a double stun, while Hunjager is using Red Mist, then they have a chance to kill Taka. And Spaghetti's got little defense against Rona, so that could work out for them. Then again, he's already got 4 damage items with the breaking points. So if the fight lasts any length of time, this glaive is going to be stacking so many breaking point stacks with that 4 damage item build. Now Infamous, they want to fight. Arcane Passage is available.
Yep, and we can see they're pushing through that entrance point, and that's really where Elite 8 needed to try force a fight, if not under their turrets, because they're able to land the Heliogenesis in a more close proximity and hopefully catch out that Taka, but Glave's going to be the first one to dive in there under the turret, uses Afterburn to get out, however, and now Infamous actually having to push off from this first one, but they're only backing off for a second while Kraken making their way onto the second turret as half out. There's going to be the core collapse onto Uni. Uni's low, but the fountain is used for this side of Infamous, and they're going to be able to take that second turret. All members of Infamous still up. Uni just going to back at this point, maybe a bit of a taunt, but we see there isn't too much Elite 8 can do. Kraken is still fairly healthy. There goes the Vein Crystal. That's going to be round 2 going over to Infamous, but I believe it is going to be a best of 5 today, so it's not over just yet for Elite 8. They have a chance to bring this one back. We'll have to see what they do in the drafting next time, because of course, as much as we loved the skins coming through with the Grace and with Verona, I don't think that synergy is quite going to help them up against the team comp they were faced with Infamous.
Yeah, I think the Elite 8 are going to have to bring out something extremely special in this third game. They're going to have to try and counter Infamous, but just try and stop the snowball that Infamous have kept having in all of these games. Infamous have just snowballed from early on. Even when the Elite 8 had a Koshka, Infamous got the first couple of kills. They got the advantage, and they really know how to push an advantage well. That's one thing Infamous, Infamous are going to push an advantage if they get one. But talk with me about that game. Luxuria, what do you think?
Well, that game, what a second game. Of course, the side of Infamous just really snowballing and rather steamrolling through Elite 8 summer champions. And it's so weird to see, because even when Infamous had got the 7k gold lead, honestly, they weren't even in lead because of objectives taken. It was just because Uni on this Taka was just being a menace, just going in for Official Heinz farm and just starving out Official Heinz. 18 minutes in, Official Heinz sitting on a mere 55 CS as compared to Uni's 107 CS, and honestly, that is where all the gold lead is, and this is what I'm talking about, Mini. Before the game even started, is that Rona is such a niche hero to pick up, and Cruel would have been a better pickup overall, because Rona needs to get her items first to build up into the late game. As with Celeste, especially when you're going up against a Taka that has got double weapon blade. We've been through with this before. Double weapon blade Taka in the early game, not very economical, but if you are taking all the jungle available on the Falls, it is definitely worth it.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it. Spend a little bit of gold, 300 wasted to deny your enemy of like over 1,000 is much more than worth it. So yeah, even though Taka gave up the first blood, a lot of people and a lot of teams, when you give up the first blood, would go, okay, we lost that. We're now losing the early game. Let's just back off and farm up. Taka went, no, I got one farm. I'm happy with that. I'm now going to go in again, keep stealing Celeste's farm. Eventually, I'll be at the point where she can't kill me, and I will take the farm and back off. So Uni played that extremely well. He didn't get scared, didn't get disheartened after giving away the first and second blood, I do believe. And so he just carried on and played Taka kind of the way you're meant to play it. He forced Grace to build so much vision and then just kept popping it. Kept going to where, yep, you're going to have vision in the tri-bush. Okay, I'll just pop that and then run to the backs. So I was extremely impressed by Uni. And now into the third game, we're going to be heading into the draft.
We are into draft at this point in time. And I must say, whatever you do take out from the side of Infamous just finds another way to replace that. It is just down to how much synergy they have as a team. So coming into this draft, Elite 8 will be on the blue side, and of course, Infamous on the red side. Elite 8 will go for that Idris band out as the first band, as we've been seeing that pattern throughout both of these teams.
Yeah, we've seen Idris banned in every game by the A side, and I'm interested that Elite 8 didn't leave it open, because Infamous didn't want to play Idris when they had that available for the second game. And so I think, yeah, it makes sense that Idris is banned. He's a really strong hero anyway, and now we're expecting to see the healers be extremely prevalent. So I think the Idris ban, it kind of makes sense. I would have liked to see maybe something a little bit different though.
Yep, Grace, Grace once again being picked up by the side of Elite 8 didn't quite work out for them for the past 2 games, and yet they are still settling for that healer. Like you said, healers will be very prevalent in this particular update. Since Lara is banned out, I personally would have just went for the Catherine instead of that. Grace, granted, Baptiste.
Oh dear. We're seeing an identical draft to the first game where Infamous won. And so if you're really at this moment, they're obviously going to pick Catherine, because why wouldn't you? It's a fantastic captain. Lara's been banned. And Elite 8 went to the Celeste ban again. And yeah, if they pick Koshka Baron, Elite 8 are just going to lose. They lost the first game with this comp. Why would they expect to win the third game with exactly the same comp? So hopefully they're going to pick something different. Maybe pick Ringo themselves. Ringo can work well against Kestrel. But please don't just pick Baron Koshka.
Dear. Another Catherine being picked up for the side of Infamous, and same exact reaction when I saw that Pato being picked up. I mean, Pato has got the highest win rate amongst all the region in the lower tiers, but let's just see if Elite 8 can drive this Pato into the meta spot that, VG Pro kind of agrees on. But let's see if Infamous have got any answers to this Pato. A lot of heroes at this point in time, like that's Scarf. Scarf is open now. Scarf does very well against a Pato because you can burn those minions down.
Yeah.
And we do see a Scarf being picked up by the side of Infamous.
Yeah, Infamous really drafting expertly there. Obviously, the Petal was there to counter Crystal Kestrel. If Kestrel's ever caught out, the Petal ones would just chase her down. It's not that good against Weapon Kestrel because of the Glimmer Shots, because you can just basically attack the minions to death, get the Adrenaline stacks, be ready to Glimmer Shot. So I think making that Kestrel weapon, and then, as you said, Scarf's fantastic against Petal. If you just put a goop on top of yourself and ignite it, the minions are just going to die while they try and attack you, and then Petal has nothing. Once Petal has no minions, she's useless. It's going to be all on Glaive to try and dive into this Kestrel, knock her back, and then once they've eliminated the weapon Kestrel, then they can try and focus on Scarf. But it has to be early game pressure by Elite 8. They have to win the early game with the Petal, because if it gets to mid to late game, Scarf and Kestrel are going to absolutely destroy you.
Yep, I've actually played Petal myself in a ranked game. I went 20-something into something, and I just lost out in the late game because Petal is just so useless. I mean, we pushed down, all the way down, but we just allowed too much space for the enemies to breathe, and there you have it. But at the end of it all, Petal has got very good early game potential, and of course, paired with that, Glaive can easily gank, or not even gank, just afterburn Castro into that of turret, and then having that Petal around slowly munching that Castro down. So I guess Elite 8, like you said, have to play to their early game strength and try their bestest to snowball, especially with that of Glaive and of course that of Grace. But then, Infamous, they've been playing very well so far, and in fact, even however late game comp they have access to, they picked up for themselves, they can push that late game into that of mid. 9 minutes in, and you see them just putting out so much damage, and I'm not surprised for this game they are going to do the same thing.
Yeah, I think it's one of the worst case scenarios for Elite 8 if it gets towards late game, because once the game hits about 18 minutes in, Petal starts to fall off as hard as Koshka does, really. And once it gets 18 minutes in, Scarf becomes almost unkillable. So there'll be a clear turning point where Elite 8, if they're not too far ahead, they'll just start losing all the fights, and Infamous will be able to push to a pretty easy victory if Elite 8 don't pressure. So I think we'll know quite early on if Elite 8 are going to have what it takes, take this Game 3 and push it into a Game 4 or possibly a Game 5. But Infamous are really strong at getting early game leads. They're probably going to be unable to do so with the Kestrel and Scarf, but they don't need to. Once it gets to late game, they'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah, and Petal does very well against that of Catherine as well. So it's just down to how both of these teams will execute their early game, and of course that of late game for the side of Elite 8. However, I've got some faith in that of Elite 8 in coming in this game, because it might just be the secret weapon in their sleeves.
Yeah, it definitely might be. We're going to be heading on into the Halcyon Fold now. So thank you for that analysis, Luxuria. And now, for possibly the last game of this best of 5, I'm going to be joined by I Request a Duel.
Hello, and yes, here we are in the possible last game between Infamous and Elite 8. Obviously, Infamous with the first 2 matches under that belt only need to win this one to get through and, you know, have a fairly strong team comp on their side. But when we look over at the side of Elite 8, you know, you can't count them out yet. The pedal pick, obviously, we haven't seen so much recently, but it might just work out for them, especially they have the engage there, the front line with the Grace and the Glaive. They have a good amount of CC as well to match with that. And we'll just have to see how this pedal plays out for the side of Elite 8 and overall as a team, how they're able to do in this situation. Hopefully this time Official Hind not going to get, you know, counter ganked by Uni on a Scarf. I don't think we'll see that happening too much. So I should say counter jungled, my bad. But right now, bit of focus up in the lane between these 2 teams to start it off. So we've got both roamers and laners up there for now, but the Official Hind gonna push into the jungle of Uni there. And I think what is going to go wrong for the side of Elite 8 is if those Munions, like so, get caught out in the goop, they're just going to be useless instantly and get taken down fairly quickly. But you now see Anime Save Me jumping in. There's the Munions to follow through. They do have quite a lot of range on them, so it's not too bad and it's not completely lost. And I believe, as Luxuria was saying, if Glaive can get in there, find the afterburn onto the right targets, and then just put them in a bad position for maybe, say, Anime Save Me to lock down with a Holy Nova, they could maybe win some fights that way. But we'll have to see how this game plays out. It's really too early to say.
Yeah, I think Official Hind is doing well to try and invade against the Scarf, doing a little bit of farm away, doing well to make sure that Scarf isn't ramping up too much. Spaghetti going very aggressive into the backs of Official Hind. Would he be caught out?
Yeah, initially pushing Hanyega's back by getting them fairly low in lane and then just flowing through with that. Official Hind coming around over Pedal is going to find Spaghetti, but is now caught between the rest of the team. They're going to get that first blood and they'll be able to catch out SNK as well. Uni now has to run away from that fight. Elite 8 taking the first 2 kills, I believe, a reverse of what we saw in the very first game between Elite 8 and Infamous.
Yeah, Elite 8 also managing to get some farm away from Uni. Petal is only 1 ahead at the moment, but has got her jungle as well. We couldn't get this mid-tree in. So it's really good for Elite 8. They are starting the early game, starting the early game strong. They've got the advantage. Now they need to keep pushing it. Petal can farm up her jungle, port home, get some items, and go straight back into Uni jungle. Try and be as aggressive as possible. But the problem is, if those Munions get caught in the goop, you need to get them respawned as quick as possible. Anime Save Me. Wow, so much damage. Going to go low. Falls, wasn't able to find the safety of that turret, kind of just got shut down by, I guess, all the poke coming out from the side of Infamous, because in that previous fight, Infamous were split up. They were in the enemy jungle, and Official Hind on that pedal was able to rotate behind them, but we see them when they're on as a full team on that front line, just really able to put a lot of damage through. And I think that also applies with that sieging potential that this team has. Should have no trouble finding that first turret if they're going to be able to continue to apply the pressure they have been on that lane. Yeah, they knew that Official Hind had to port home to shop because he only had 2 crystal bits, went really aggressive, so hadn't shopped yet. And that just left Infamous free to rotate up to lane, get a pretty easy gank onto Glaive, and pretty much even up the gold. There's now like very little gold lead for Elite 8, but this is still not completely lost. Official Hind is strong. He's level 5.5 at the moment, so reasonably close to level 6. And I think he's going to get the Frostburn probably, or maybe we can save up for Shatterglass. He's going to save up for a Shatterglass first. And this is a really good time for him to try and engage, try and fight against Uni.
Yeah, but you see the Munions burning up and they are going to slowly fall away. And meanwhile, I think it's really tough for Hanyegas in the position base. And like your melee, I guess, hero up in the lane, trying your best. And you might see later on when Official Hind gets a certain amount of levels, they might decide to swap it out. But there's going to be Hanyegas going in with a lot of patience and discipline there with Afterburn onto the Kestrel. However, they're not able to follow through with the kill just yet. Perhaps an early Frostburn could have been good with that, because Elite 8 could have just looked for the early game advantage that way in terms of having the CC. But as you said, it's more than likely Official Hein hasn't bought that Frostburn yet, is going to save up for that Shatterglass instead. How do you feel about that?
I think Shatterglass is quite a good item on Petal. It does make sense in most scenarios, especially against someone like a Scarf, who you're not going to have trouble sticking on. You're either going to be on top of her or you're not, and the problem is you're having Munions alive, not staying on top of her. But against this Kestrel, the gank in the lane would have almost definitely been successful if Official Hein had a Frostburn. So it's like that trade-off. Now Official Hein still hasn't got a tier 3 item, whereas Uni and Spaghetti both have. So Elite 8 aren't in a position to fight when they need to be able to fight as much as possible. Now he's going to get the Shatterglass. That will really help the Onion stay alive against Uni and just deal. I think it's the best item, but maybe in this scenario, he might have gone for Frostburn if they wanted to get a gank on Kestrel.
Now, you said her when you were talking about Scarf. Is Scarf a female?
I feel like Scarf is a
Is it
she.
confirmed? Scarf is a worm with wings in my mind. Scarf is
Okay.
gender fluid, if you want to call it that way.
Scarf is, it's a dragon. Dragons don't have dragons.
wait.
Dragon.
I feel like some dragons might seem more masculine. I find Scarf is a cute little just thing and can be a male. I'm not sure. One shot, one kill. Gonna go out. Misses. There's the fountain for the side of Elite 8. But yeah, what do you guys in chat think? Is Scarf a she or a he? Put it down. Other than that, put one
it in
team
the chat,
for this match because, of course, Elite 8 need all the support you guys can give them, and Infamous really trying to shut this one out. So both teams fighting for a lot here, and we're gonna have to see how it goes. Right now, even in kills, but that could change in an instant as the Merciless Pursuit lands onto Grace. There's the goop to follow through. Just no escape for Anime Save Me there. And even under that turret, there's nothing they can do. And this was the thing I was talking about, the siege potential of Infamous, and just being able to pick off those single targets like that and pushing their man advantage is going to help them so much into the mid and late game when the death timers get longer. But Official Hein now being the one to be aggressive with that poke in return. They get SNK low, but they've dived in deep. Uni coming through with the Dragon's Breath. One shot, one kill, not going to hit. But look, Official Hein is low. One more Spitfire would finish it off. But there's going to be the fountain by Anime Save Me to save Official Hein once again, and we see Infusion being picked up by Uni there. It looks like Infamous might be, planning to get ready to put a bit more aggression on this lane and try take this first turret as we're almost 8 minutes into the game.
Yeah, 2 clutch fountains, one from SNK to keep himself alive at the turret, and one from Anime Save Me to keep that Official Hein alive. So yeah, well played by both the captains. I think the infusion on Uni makes sense because, again, if they can offset this early game from Petal, Scarf have it once it comes to late game. And Weapon Kestrel does extremely well when he gets that instant invisibility and just massive damage on those glimmer shots. I think Anime Save Me needs to get Echo reasonably soon to try and keep Petal or Hunyegas alive. Catherine looks like she's going for the save. I think Catherine can actually afford it when she does shop. And Elite 8 going for a 3-man invade into the jungle.
Yep, and they're going to be able to find the Afterburn onto the Catherine and secure the kill. Even though there's no Frostburn on Official Hein, I think you were right that it's a very good item for that. Glaive going to fall down to the Scarf. But just in the previous fight, being able to chase up, it was the kill onto the Captain. Maybe not the most beneficial kill. But you can see how the Munions really do a lot of damage and they follow through. And if you're not able to clear them out quick enough, they can be quite a bit of trouble. But right now we see Uni in a bit of trouble. Official Hein as well. Divine Intervention going to come through, saves their life. It doesn't look like they're ready to fight just yet. SNK back up in that lane, and Official Hein going to have to back out to the jungle just for a second. But whether Hunyegas is looking for anything, we'll have to see. Has that Afterburn up and ready, and Elite 8 looking in a better position than they have been in previous games, keeping it a bit more even. We're almost 10 minutes in now, and they haven't given up their first turret. They've kept it fairly even in gold this time. Actually, it's precisely even, 20k to 20k for both teams. And, it really could go either way right now.
Yeah, no gold lead for either side. This is something that Infamous really we haven't seen them do a lot, which is just not get a lead, just let themselves be even, and now they want to get this turret and try and push it. That's one thing that Infamous do every game is push objectives, push that first turret so early on, and Glaive could be caught out.
Yep, and it looks like they're gonna go in deep. There's the Dragon's Breath coming out from Uni. It might pick up Hunyegas, but Divine Intervention's gonna save them, and there's gonna be the official Heim with the kill on that pedal, with the double kill. And they are able to take out Spaghetti and Uni, the two major targets, leaving SNK on their own to defend this turret. If I was SNK, I would not want to be standing there. Would just back off. That is going to be the smarter move. Not giving up the ace is going to back off to that turret, but does give away a turret in return. And right now, you know, a lot of plays going down. You saw initially Infamous making the engagement, but then Elite 8 able to react onto that. And you see how this pedal is actually pulling through, and we question whether it's going to work or not. And now that we see it in play, I think this is a real good chance for Elite 8 to take a game.
Yeah, it is definitely working. Petal with some fantastic spontaneous combustions, picking up 2 kills, one on Uni, one on Spaghetti. And I think, yeah, Uni's Dragon's Breath wasn't at the best time. He didn't have many broken mid stacks, and Spaghetti wasn't really in a position to deal damage at the same time. So I think Infamous just need to fight a little bit better. They could try and sneak a gold mine with Petal backed off, but it looks like they want to get a turret instead. Or, no, they're just going to back off and position, pop some vision, and position well for a fight.
Yep, and apparently, Scarf is made. Thank you, Luxura.
Scarf is a hit. And I say if he wants to steal this gold mine, but Scarf's going to get it. Good blast over from Catherine to secure that gold mine for Infamous. I said they could sneak it, and they did. Now the gold lead is once again back to even. One turret for each side, but with Infamous picking up that gold mine, they're doing well. And yeah, Official Hein, he picked up a Shatterglass and then had a heavy prism into Eclipse Vision. I was thinking, is he going to go double Shatterglass on this Petal? But no, he went Shatterglass into Frostburn. So going for the slows later on in the game, but he just wanted the pure early game damage. And it is a very different build on Petal. We're not seeing any armor, any shield pierce, because there isn't much shield on Infamous. They want to go pretty glass cannon. I think it makes sense from Official Heinz to go for this build.
Yeah, especially when they want to slow down Infamous so they can try pick up those kills, pick up those aces. They're going to be so important moving into the mid game as well. Right now, it looks like Glaive going to be able to get out there safely, but right now both teams really positioning themselves together, staying together, ready for a team fight at any moment here. I'm surprised there's a fair lack of vision for the side of Infamous though, which might be their downfall. As we see, there's going to be Hunyegas diving in there with Afterburn on Spaghetti, but Fountain not used yet. There goes on the side of Infamous, and they're on the run away from Elite 8, who are looking so strong right now. They're able to pick up that kill onto Kestrel, and now Uni split off from the rest of the team. Nowhere to run, is going to fall to the hands of Petal, who's just 5-0-2 right now. Official Hein on that Petal, showing you how it's done. And Luxura questioned it. He said, you know, Petal has shown a great win rates in lower tiers, but are they able to bring it up to this esports and high tier meta? And it looks like they are. They're moving their way onto this second turret, and right now it looks like there's nothing that SNK can do on their own to defend that, but Spaghetti is returning to the fight. It's gonna follow through as well, but I don't think they'll be able to catch anyone out.
Yeah, Glaive and Grace are fantastic at disengaging. Petal's already ported home. So I think Official Heinz build is working really well. The only time it will struggle is when Uni and Spaghetti decide to build an Aegis, because at that point, Petal will really just not be a point, not be a factor in these fights, because that Shatterglass and Frostburn, no broken myth to pierce. Petal needs to build an Aegis before she can get any pierce. I think Uni and Spaghetti need to start counter building. They're not going to be the massive damage dealers that they want to be, and Infamous going for a fight.
Yep, and there's going to be Hunyegas diving in onto the backline. They need to be careful of the active camo, however. Blast Tremor going to come through. They're fighting into a very tight choke point. It could go in favor of either team, but right now, Hunyegas getting split off from the rest of them. It's going to dive through with Afterburn. You should have found it onto Uni, probably the preferred target there, because right now, Infamous going to turn it around with the ace and evening the score out 7-7, as well as that gold lead, 31.8k to both teams. But that's going to change in a second as Infamous push onto the second turret in return. With that aced up minions, they might even get 2 out of this if they're going for it. And it looks like they are. They have the siege potential that we talked about earlier. They have that damage, and there's the aced up minions.
That's the difference between these two teams, is Elite 8, they did well. Obviously, Petal was 5-0, but one thing Infamous do is when they get kills or get a slight advantage, they will get more from it. They got 2 turrets there, and they're now backing off, and they're absolutely fine. Whereas Elite 8, they got loads of kills early on. Petal was playing fantastically, but there was about a 1k gold lead at max, and that was it that Elite 8 could get, and then Infamous could just catch up the gold by farming well, and now they've got an ace and a couple of turrets. They're now ahead, 2k gold ahead. So I think in team fights, what Elite 8 need to do is they need to engage and not let Infamous poke at all. They tried to go in, then they backed off because there was an active camo trap, but that left Uni and Spaghetti free to just poke so much damage onto Official Hide and Jaegers. There was nothing they could do. Elite 8 have got an all-in comp pretty much, so they need to just dive in, try and pick up the kills, and fight as a team. Here we're going to go.
Yeah, well, Anime Save Me going to be the one to do so, jumping into that front line, using Divine Intervention instantly onto Official Hind. Once again, Drag Breath going to be used in this fight, and it's burning Official Hind to the ground. There's going to be the fountain to save them, but Anime Save Me going to give up their own life. Hanyeg is going to be the next target, and Official Hind just has to back away at this point. Nothing they can do. 50 seconds in, however, one shot, one kill won't land. Uni is going to land. The Spitfire has not given up a chase and is going to pick up the ace. They're going to get the ace. The minions are going to push through on their own. Meanwhile, they're going to focus their attention onto Kraken. And wow, Infamous really turning this one around, and you are right about that. They get kills, they get objectives from it, and doing a great job. I really thought Elite 8 had a chance here, but it's just with these team engages. I think that they're not quite able to... I'd feel better if Glaive was the one going in with the hard stun, because it is quite hard for Grace to land on the Holy Nova, because a lot of heroes, especially at this point with Tier 3 boots, are going to be too fast to lock down. It's going to be quite tough in most situations. So I'd like to see Glaive going first, and then chain stunts with Grace, and then obviously Petal just stay safe on the back line there. We saw Petal actually dive in quite deep, and Uni just turn around with the Dragon's Breath, and it could be an instant repeat. But this time they have turrets with them, but they've got to defeat this Kraken.
Infamous are going to just push. They can poke really well, so they're just going to try and get this turret from afar, or maybe get some damage, and now they want to go on to Kestrel.
Yep, it's going to be Anime Save Me going in, but right now Hanyeg is waiting for the right opportunity, jumping into that backline, going to eat up all of that Dragon's Breath and just turn around onto Uni, damaging them down. Uni trying to do what they can with that goop, but not going to be enough. That's a much better engagement. I was a bit worried when Anime Saved Me on this Gwen, dived in there and went right into the active camo by Spaghetti, but I guess by Anime Saved Me tanking that up, it meant that
SNK wants to win.
of Elite 8 wouldn't. SNK does. SNK at least wants the turret, and they're going to get it, but Hanyeg is going to tell them to back off out of here. They will be able to defeat this Kraken right now. There's no real, I guess, backdoor potential from the side of Infamous. Of course, they can go up from the top of the map, or they can technically go down below, but there's just going to be no wall jumping in that team comp. But if they're looking for it, really, Infamous could consider fighting this one out, as long as they don't give away the ace if the fight goes in the wrong direction.
Yeah, it is quite hard to push a Kraken effectively, especially into those last two turrets, so Infamous just happy to back off. And now
ooh, there's Elite 8 using the War Threads to get in there, and they're going to go in big. Hanyegers with the Afterburn, doesn't find a target, however. They're jumping on, well, split up a team of Infamous, but Infamous going to regroup, and actually Elite 8 just having to back off that one. They went in fast, trying to find something. But understand that, you know, we can't engage now. We need to wait for our cooldowns for just a second, and even protect the base, because if Elite 8 give this one away, they're giving away everything. There's going to be the sentry going down, which could have helped them out just a bit more, but right now it's up to whether Infamous are going to stall this out until Kraken's up, or if they're going to force a fight.
Yeah, they did. Elite 8 used their boots cooldown, so they're just waiting for them to come back online. And I think Infamous are in a good position at the moment, because Elite 8 really can't go in. If they try to engage, they'd be poked out before they get there. Now War Treads are back up in a couple of seconds for Grace. They could try and fight, and I think the most important thing is Anime Save Me gets a flare onto Spaghetti when Jaegers dives in, because we've seen in a couple of team fights, Jaegers goes with the Afterburn, Kestrel just goes invisible, runs away, and Glaive's like, what do I do? He just ults, tries to find Kestrel, but then he's standing in an active camo trap and hasn't found Kestrel. And so that's just pretty much GG. Kestrel's going to win that easily. But when Anime Safety gets the flare on Spaghetti before Jaegers dives in, even if Spaghetti goes invisible, it's a stun for Glaive. He can burst Spaghetti down. Spaghetti's going to get an Aegis now when he shots, but without any defense up to this point. means that Hunyegas could burst it. I think Official Hein, it's good that he's got the piercing shard. It's important to have that now that an Aegis is going to be has been picked up for Spaghetti and almost has been picked up for Uni. But Petal's at the point where she's just not dealing much damage at all.
Ooh.
And Elite 8 waiting.
Ooh,
They're not
Elite 8 not going to get caught out by that, and there's going to be Glaive jumping onto the fountain, not going to be there soon enough, and Elite 8 might be able to win this fight. They have been so patient and disciplined throughout this match. They're going to be able to pick up the kill. Meanwhile, Spaghetti up in that top rush isn't going to, I was going to say isn't going to be spot out, but if they go this way, there's already vision placed down.
Oh, he doesn't know!
They can't see me. They can't see me, and I think that for now, Elite 8 are happy. They're not going to take the Kraken. They will go back to base. I think Anime Save Me might be able to stand there, tank it up with Divine Intervention, keep the Kraken rolling. And now Spaghetti knows they're in trouble. They know it's gone down. There's the active camo. They're going to be able to stun up Hunyegas, but it's a 2-on-1. They're going to go down, give up the ace. And Elite 8 able to turn this one around. Oh, it looks like Anime Save Me actually not able to continue that Kraken progress. So Scarf has an opportunity to steal this one, but we'll see how quickly Elite 8 are able to take this.
Spaghetti was either hoping that Elite 8 just weren't going to port, they were trying to get Kraken first so he could just rush the Vayne. But I think he just wanted to stop them taking Kraken and maybe survive long enough so that SNK and Uni could try and steal it. Didn't quite happen. He's going to be up in under 20 seconds, so he'll be available to defend this Kraken. And
and I think it's another thing.
Yeah. So
it's another thing of what you said earlier about Infamous. They get kills and they get objectives. And you're right, Spaghetti by staying up there kind of stalled it out for Elite 8. And right now they're pushing this Kraken in, but they possibly could have got Kraken the kill a lot sooner and might have even got the anchor turret before everyone else like back up, because now we see Spaghetti back up with the rest of their team. They're going to be able to fight this one off and defend it pretty successfully. It's pretty hard to push through all 3 turrets with 1 Kraken, but it's getting lame against then we'll see how it goes.
Especially against the Scarf and a Kestrel, they can just burn that Kraken so fast. And I think Uni got caught out, but they were really unlucky. The Spitfire literally threaded the needle between Glaive and Petal. And now Elite 8 want to look for a fight. They probably want to find someone, but not right now. Kraken, they're just going to take 1 turret and back off. I don't think Elite 8 could have got much more, because really, what are you going to do? You're going to try and push this Kraken against a Scarf and a Kestrel. It's just not going to work. They're going to kill you, or they're going to take Kraken down. Now Elite 8 need to find another good engage. Scarf needs to not face check bushes. Sounds silly, but she used the Spitfire to try and check it, and they just dodged the Spitfire and waited for you. So I think one backdoor could be possible, but there's a reasonable amount of vision, and Anime Save Me should actually port home to get some more vision in the top bush, just above where he is now, because Kestrel could just walk through there without being seen.
Yeah, more vision is definitely going to be important. However, is holding onto the flares at this point doesn't really have space for it. I believe before would have put down the scout traps and then picked up the flares. So they are slowly losing that kind of control. And of course, Kestrel, able to really gambit. I'm a bit disappointed that Elite 8 didn't push in further than they did, only getting 1 turret. They possibly could have got 2, but Infamous now looking for a fight. SNK on that front line. Not afraid at all, just looking to land a stun onto someone, because this is what's so powerful about the Infamous team comp they have for them right now, is that as soon as that target is stunned, they're all just able to land the skill shots onto them instantly. We talked about before just being why they're so good at this single target kind of defense. And maybe Anime Save Me in this situation could actually just use their flares, sell their flares, whatever. But you are right. They need something up in the top of the lane just for security, because otherwise they're always going to be hugging to their base, and it's not really the right way to be playing this one, because right now Infamous are just waiting out for more time. They could get another Kraken, but Elite 8 deciding to continue to play this one safe. You see the position coming out. Yes, Spaghetti just in this backline here right now. And
he's trying to be sneaky.
Gone. Yeah. They're really just trying to bait out Elite 8 away from their base. It either means Kestrel's going to come in behind them, or Kestrel's going to ignore them completely and could just go for Crystal. But Infamous, now knowing that Kraken is on the fold, have a whole lot more available to them. This rarely draws Elite 8 out of their base. They have to either contest this Kraken or watch over their base. There's no 2 ways around it right now. And they've got to know that if they don't see Spaghetti, you know, you should be worried.
Yeah, definitely. Spaghetti is able to backdoor. There's no vision from Anime Save Me. He needs those flares. And I pointed out that Uni needs to not get caught out, and he actually bought 5 flares after I said that.
But Uni might get jumped on now. There's going to be Anime Save Me going in with a benediction, following through with the war treads. They're just trying to stop Spaghetti from going invisible, but they're able to find it. And it's going to be the turnaround now by Infamous as they use the Dragon's Breath coming through. Divine Intervention going to land onto Petal, who's on the backline. Meanwhile, hasn't been unchecked. Anime Save Me going to go in with the Holy Nova, but there's no follow through. They really need Han Jaegers on that glaive to kind of go in as well. And right now, Elite 8 on the run. The slows coming through on that Frostburn from Uni and the Spitfire. This is looking bad. Elite 8 having to back out of it, and I'm sure that more than likely Infamous can take this with ease right now, and there won't be any contest from Elite 8.
Of course, Elite 8 are gonna try and win a fight and push to win. We're 25 minutes in, 26 minutes in now. I think the death times are about 60 seconds. So if Elite 8 win the fight, they don't even need to kill Kraken. Spaghetti
and Spaghetti, up in that top of the lane already, just walking in. There's no minions there, but you're right, Jaegers has that sense, knows that's going to happen, uses the reflex block in case they're going to get hit by the active camo, but now backing out of the fight. They don't have Afterburn up, they don't have the means to jump onto Spaghetti. Spaghetti going to be able to take them down in the 1v1. Official Hein trying to get back to base, but Spaghetti already making quick work of this Vein Crystal. That's going to be game 3, going over to Infamous. They're going to finish off Official Hein just for the kill. And a bit of a twirl. Infamous gonna leave this one to the Kraken instead.
Yeah, that will be game 3 going over to Infamous. Extremely well played by them. Kestrel gets the one shot for Vayne.
I think style points.
Yeah, once it got to late game, it was really Elite 8 had to catch out Infamous, or else Infamous were gonna win. It was such a close game. 12 kills on both sides. But once Infamous just had enough flares to find out where Elite 8 was, Scarf, I think, built 2 boots. Maybe she bought journey boots and then an extra sprint boots just so she could run, and then when Glaive dived in, run away again. And once Infamous couldn't be caught out, they were pretty much going to win late game.
Well, definitely out of those 3 games, that was the closest that Elite 8 were going to have a chance and did look a lot better for the team. So GG, well played to them. And I'll hand over to the analyst, Luxura, to take it through with you.
Hello, and that game was just amazing. Pato had got so much potential coming into that early game, wouldn't you agree, Mini? And had 5-0 on that KDA chart on Pato, but like you said, Mini, the side of EA just didn't have that pushing potential. They were always so objective focused, but for this game, just this game alone, they just lacked that focus. And it's quite sad to see it because, I mean, if Pato do win this game, then at least we could tell viewers out there that Pato is still relevant in a way or the other. But Uni and, of course, Spaghetti just got online so fast and put out so much damage on those minions, and Pato just couldn't keep up.
Yeah, I think Scarf was a great pick against the Petal. Infamous had to play slightly out of their comfort zone. They played into late game instead of trying to snowball. And it got so close near the end. Elite 8 felt like they were going to make a late game comeback with a Petal against the Scarf. Because of the catch out, they got a tight with the Kraken. But once it got to those proper team fights when Kestrel could just kite Glaive for days, Scarf got a good Dragon's Breath. And once Scarf Dragon's Breath, all the minions would just be gone immediately. So it was well played by Infamous, and they just showed themselves to be the superior team. So that means Infamous are going to be heading straight to the live finals in a couple of weeks.